style where we let our audience see what goes on within our body. And sometimes when we do that, our audience understands and they see what we understand, or they understand what we understand as professionals. So that is what we are seeking to do today. To lead the enlarged, please. Yes. Okay. Please, next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, next. So what I may have to do, okay, sorry. Yeah. What I may have to do is to use, if you don't mind. Yeah. So when we talk about hypertension, we mean blood pressure, okay? And sometimes people that come from our side of the world, the name alone in the local language is quite misleading, okay? So the girls, I'm not sure whether we are all Senegalese. There are some, okay. So the girls will say Trinidad, okay? Then the accounts will say Mukaproso, okay? Those kind of names are a bit misleading, okay? It doesn't give you the right picture of what it says. Next, please. So, about 30% of people in England have blood pressure, but they are not aware. Okay. The reason why they are not aware is mostly blood pressure from the initial stages will not give you any symptoms. Okay. Once you start getting symptoms related to blood pressure, it means that the disease process has gone a bit bad or is getting bad. And people normally go to the hospital with blood vision, headache, and then the blood pressure is being diagnosed out of that. Next, please. So, in somewhere 2010, in the UK alone, the Department of Health spends about 2 billion in controlling blood pressure. The amount might be a little bit higher these days. And then, if you look at men and some women, men are just about 31.5, and some women are 29. Why that? Why do you think men suffer from more blood pressure than some women? We work too hard. Okay, so this question I'm going to ask again when we finish with the session. So the session is quite interactive, okay? So we'll be asking a lot of questions. So men do experience more blood pressure than some women. So blood pressure is the main risk factor for stroke, heart failure, and kidney disease. Okay, and according to the data, 16 million people in the UK have blood pressure, and 13 to 32% of them are men. So the men are living in this area. Okay. So approximately 1/3 of people with high blood pressure do not know they have it. So if we take 3 people here who are having blood pressure, 1 out of 3 do not know. So the 2 million that is spent on high blood pressure, you can see how the money is being spent. So the secondary care is about 63.4%. The primary care which is the GP area, is about 20.9, and emergency and other admissions. But I'm interested in this health promotion. Health promotion is just about 0.3%. But we need more health promotion because that is where the key factor is. You need to know more about what the blood pressure is and to know the things to do and things not to do. Okay? So they don't spend enough money with the health promotions. And sometimes we have dedicated sites that will lead you to some area for you to go and read about it. But the terminologies, okay, the medical terms used can be very confusing. And sometimes if you read, you might not even get someone to ask any question. That's the main reason why Nightingale Nurses is here today, to ensure that we explain to the basic level that people will understand and do the right thing. And that is the main reason why sometimes we solicit the help of people like the pastor to help us to get few things to run some of this program. I believe we all have this in our various houses. What is this? Okay. So when you open the tap, what is the natural expectation? The water will flow. Okay. So water will come out and it will flow down the drain. Sometimes when the water gets blocked and the water stays up here, what do we use? We use plunger. Beautiful. So what happens in the plunger? What does say Pastor? Pastor said pressure. Okay, it's true. So the plunger creates a greater pressure. Okay, and any residual in the tubes that is holding it will break away. Okay, so this normally blocks our sink. Okay, the inner tubing, it blocks the sink, and these are what? They are the debris. Okay, from the calcium deposits, and sometimes the oil with the food and the things that we do. So people that do not want to use a plunger, sometimes they buy some chemical, they put it in and it dissolves this, and it allows the water to flow. But sometimes you can do it 3 or 4 times and you get to a state that even if you put in a chemical, it doesn't work. So you have to use a plunger. So when you put in the plunger or when you use the pressure, the plunger will disintegrate some of these so that there will be spaces for the water to flow. Is that clear? Next please. Sometimes it's just out of corrosion, okay, that causes that. Next please. So you use the plunger creates a bigger pressure in here. Remember, the pressure that is being created in the sink will translate down into the tubes, and the pressure will be also created in the tubes. And that tubing pressure will disintegrate the ones that you wanted to say disintegrate for the water to flow. Next please. So our heart is like that. Okay. God has designed our body in such a way that our heart is to pump and send blood to every aspect of our cells. So we've got cells in our brain. The brain cells need oxygen and glucose. Okay. And then we've got cells in the sole of our feet. It also needs oxygen. Okay. So every cell in the body needs oxygen. The skin cells, they need oxygen. So it means blood has to flow everywhere in the body. Now, is the heart, this area, the left ventricular, that pumps blood to ensure that the oxygen and glucose that the cells require, or the oxygen and glucose that the entire body requires, this area will pump the blood out. And when the blood is pumped out, it goes through what we call arteries and veins. Okay? So for the purpose of this, training, I would say veins, so that we understand it. But the veins is normally the returning one back to the heart. But for the purpose, I would say veins. When it comes to go through the arteries, and when the arteries block, okay, so I'll show you through here. So this is the heart, it comes through this, and this ones will go up. Next one is. So how your heart? It pumps, when the blood, some will go through your arm. Here, heart, it pumps, some of the blood will go through your brains, some will go through your arm, some will go through your abdomen into your legs, and some will go through your arm. Now, these are the veins that carries blood around. They might be arteries though, but for the purpose of the teaching, I'll say veins, yeah? So that will be easy. Now, when it's smooth like this, without any blockage, the heart pumps in a natural way. But when the veins are becoming occluded, because God has designed us in such a way that the heart, by all means, have to pump for the blood to get into the cells. In the brain, at the sole of your feet, every cell in your body, it means the heart will pump very hard. So it's a natural responding mechanism. If the blood is pumping through a smooth vein like this with no occlusion, it will pump normally. But if the veins is becoming like this, naturally, it will put a lot of pressure. Because the aim of the heart is to pump the blood out so that it will get to every cell of the body. Is that clear? Next please. So you have your blood vessels occluding like this, and once it's occluding, it puts a pressure on the heart to do what? To pump everything with pressure. Is that clear? Next please. So if you have 3 veins, this has got nothing here. The lumen size is big. What do you think the blood pressure will be for this one? Absolutely. What do you think it will be for this one? It has to work a bit harder, so slightly increased. And this? Very high. Okay, good. I think if you are joining an anatomy class, you all will pass them. So our heart, in a way, responds to the occlusion of the vessels by putting pressure so the blood will flow similarly to what we would have done with the plunger. And when you are doing this, remember I said earlier, you are putting a pressure here, at the same time, a pressure in the tubings. Okay, next please. And next again. So, when we check your blood pressure, is the top one and the bottom one. The top one is the pressure that has been created in your heart. Then the bottom one is the pressure that is created in the vessels, in the blood vessels. So we have it always as the top one and the bottom one, and we call the top one systolic and the bottom one diastolic. So that is how the blood pressure really comes. So when we check your blood pressure, then the top one is less than 120 and the bottom one is less than 80. We say your blood pressure is normal. When we check, then the top one is between 120 to 139, then the bottom one is between 80 to 89. We say that you are having something like pre-hypertension. As the pastor said earlier, you are getting closer. So we call it pre-hypertension. Then stage 1 is the top one, 140 to 129, and the bottom one, 92 to 99. Then stage 2 is the top one greater than 160, and the bottom one greater than 100, which means you've gone very, very high. we have to know that blood pressure increase can come with normal physiology. So I said you need glucose and oxygen to move through your body. So if I'm running, I need what? Glucose. So anytime I'm doing an exercise with normal physiology, I'm expecting my blood pressure to go high. It doesn't mean that I am hypertensive. Okay? Good. So normal physiology normally helps or causes blood pressure to go high. So people doing some exercise, people hurriedly walking, they will get their blood pressure gone up a bit. It doesn't mean that they are hypertensive. So sometimes when we check your blood pressure and we're not sure, you're almost on the borderline and we are not sure, we put you on something that we call 24-hour tape. This. So this is going to measure your blood pressure over the time that you are sleeping, over the time that you are walking, doing some strenuous activities, and we'll be able to know whether you are hypertensive or not. Having said that, this is only given to people who are on the borderline side. But when we check your blood pressure and it's high, about 180, 85, we check again 182, 85, we check again 186, 83, then you are definitely hypertensive. Is that much better? Yeah. So the blood pressure, we have the primary type and the secondary type. The primary one is not really understood well. The secondary, we do know what causes it. And some of the things we have spoken about next week. We do know that it's more prevalent in ethnic minorities, especially blacks, than our Caucasian, white, and Africans. We do know that it's hereditary. Your mom has got one, your dad has got one, and you also have some, or it's likely you are going to second one. It runs to the family. We also know that some lifestyle, like alcoholism, okay, excessive diet intake, which causes obesity, and some personal trait, people that are very hostile, they are most likely to get blood pressure, and people with high cholesterol in their blood. Those are the predisposing factors. We do know that temporarily, when people are taking some medication like oral contraceptives and drugs like Nurofen, naproxen, which we call non-steroidal antibiotic drugs, okay, and some kidney diseases and during pregnancy, their blood pressure goes up. And when they complete taking the doses, then it becomes diabetes. And sometimes pregnancy can also make your blood pressure goes up. Sometimes it is come down after you deliver. Other times you have to treat you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. So when you are hostile all the time, okay. So when you are hostile all the time, there are hormones that helps you with your actions of being hostile to others. Those hormones could be cortisol and adrenaline. And what they do is they constrict your blood vessels. So we call them vasoconstrictors. And when they constrict your blood vessels, your heart, when they constrict your blood vessels, it will mimic to your heart that the lumen is now small. So pump her. And then they have to pump. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But when we're given an explanation that when the artery is speaking, that's where the heart goes.
Yeah.
So are there any virus or kind of something that is in the body so that it transfers? Because let's say my dad had the heart operations, and then I I can commute.
Yeah.
And my is really normal.
Yeah.
How can I get that happen?
Yeah. So remember the first slide, we spoke about something also that we said that is due to corrosion. Apart from the fats that get deposited in the lumen of the vessels, you could also have inflammations. And the inflammations will make the lumen swell up a bit, reducing the lumen size. And some of these inflammations are hereditary. Okay, and also we see it in the family because it may well be that this particular family, they are a bit obese. So if the family is obese, then it means that from the lineage, if the eldest or one of them is high blood pressure because of obesity, then it's likely they are all going to second. And sometimes there are people who have got natural high cholesterol. It runs in the family. So when you are within that category, your blood pressure will go up as well. So it's a good question. But some of these things are not just by the fact that you belong to the family. It might be one of the causes which runs through that family. That was a capturing. Next, please. Okay, so as we said earlier, sometimes you might not see it because it's silent. It's happening within your body. But you will only see it when it's giving you certain things, such as shortness of breath, nosebleed, and blood vision, or sometimes headache. So if you want to do medication, there are 3 groups of medication that we normally go for. And sometimes, depending on the level of the blood pressure, we might decide not to put you on medication yet, but you will somebody take to on diet. So when we bring medication, I said 3 groups, but it's actually 4. We do A, B, C, D. The A is ACE inhibitors. Okay, so they are the medications that normally end with pearl, ramipril, lisinopril. So those BP tablets are end with pearl. They are ACE inhibitors, but they are good for young and also whites. Okay, and they also preserve the kidney function. The B is the beta blockers. Okay, it's also good for the young and whites. The C is a calcium channels and blockers. The calcium channel blockers are quite good for the blacks and people that have had heart attack, post-heart attack. Okay, so the calcium channel blockers like amlodipine, all the medication ended with pins. Okay, good. They are quite good for the blacks. And also the diuretics are quite good for the blacks and people that have had some heart attack. What the diuretics do is, we call it water tablets. Okay, when there is a lot of water in the blood vessel, the heart is forced to pump more. Okay, so what it does is, it takes some of the water out so that it will put the pressure on the heart less. So we're talking about the C and D, those that are quite good for the blacks. Amlodipine, diazepam, phenolphine, methylpine, these are old drugs, we don't use that much. Then the diuretic, you got benzoylfluorothiazide, furosemide, indapamide, and spironolactone. They quite good, yeah. They make you pee more, okay. Then in the lumen, sometimes when the lumen is building up with the lipids, I'm talking about the blood vessel lumen. If it's a building up, there are some medications that will control that building up, and those medications are the statins. Okay, simvastatin, atorvastatin. So those help to control the build of fat deposits in the lumen. And we give it to people with higher cholesterol. Because if you got high cholesterol, eventually the lumen will build. Yes. If we are not using diet, example, when you are at a pre-hypertensive phase and you are not using medication, with this study, what it shows that when you reduce your salt intake, so there is a reduction in salt intake, for people with hypertension. Just the reduction in salt intake, the top one, which is the systolic, will come down by 4.8. Then the bottom one will go down by 2.5. Okay? And if you do a parallel study, you see that there is an advantage there. The top one will come down, the bottom one will come down. If you do a double blended study, it's a similar thing. If you do the overall study, so this is just an indication that is telling you that one salt intake alone can bring your blood pressure down. Both the top one and the bottom one. Weight loss. If you lose about 9 kg, your blood pressure will fall about 9. If you lose 4 to 5 kg to 9, your blood pressure will fall about 7, both the top and the bottom. Okay, so the amount of weight that you lose from the time that you are diagnosed, it has a significant impact on the reduction of the blood pressure. So when you are at the pre-hypertensive stage, which is slightly elevated above the normal, you might not necessarily go on medication, but you are going to put on diet control and weight loss. And if you're able to do that, the combination of this and the diet or salt control will bring you into normal. Okay, so it's quite significant. And we do this through DASH diet. Yes. We did do this through DASH diets. So these are the kind of diets that are quite good. Yeah. But for someone like me, if I eat this, I might not sleep. Yes. But we see a lot of the Caucasians, they enjoy this kind of diets. But we normally eat something that will either cause the salt to go a bit high, or we'll put on a bit of more weight, okay? And it doesn't really help. So sometimes when you're struggling with hypertension, yes, these are quite healthy. So this is the type of diet that we normally go for, okay? And sometimes we do this. Okay. And sometimes when we go for the parties and we don't see the trophy and the things, we feel that, oh, this party here, it wasn't nice for our. Yeah. Okay. We want to see the trophies and then slide around. But this are what converts eventually into cholesterol and it blocks the vessels. Okay. And sometimes when we do this, we'll eat there and we also have a takeaway. So it's almost like buy one, get one free. And we don't exercise. Okay. Sometimes you don't exercise as well. Okay. Sometimes you go to the gym, you see a lot of Caucasians on the treadmill, they are exercising. When we see people from our ethnic minority exercising, it's either they're exercising for the muscles, okay, but we don't regularly see people just exercising for fitness only, okay, so we have to exercise as well. Because what you do is, when you exercise, what you are doing is, there is a level of exercise. One, you are burning enough calories, and your weight will come down. At the same time, you are shifting glucose into the cells massively, and it controls your sugar level as well. Next, please. We also have to ensure that we limit on alcohol intake, or maybe we don't take it at all. Okay? Because what normally happens is alcohol has got enough calories, and alcohol can serve as an appetizer. That is why people say yippee. You see, so it can serve as an appetizer. So you take 2 shots, your calorie contents, you've covered the whole calorie for a day, and then it will allow you to eat heavily as well. Then after eating, you just go to sleep. Okay. So you have people like this man, for example, who is drinking beer and also having some salad, and he said he doesn't care. Okay. Vitamin D is quite crucial when you are trying to control. It doesn't control it, but it does help to a degree. And ethnic minorities, we normally get vitamin D from sun. Like the Caucasians are exposed more to vitamin D when they go to the sun, but we do not, because of the color of our skin, it's quite thick in nature. That's something called melanin, and that's really suppress the uptake of the vitamin D through the sunshine. So most of us in ideal way should be on supplements. Okay, most should be on supplements. And then patient education. Sometimes people are diagnosed with hypertension, but they don't have this kind of interaction. They just go write their blood pressure, set tablets for them, they take it, and they don't really understand. They are not being told. Reducing a bit of weight will help. Cutting down your calories will help. Cutting down your salt intake will help. And taking your blood pressure medication religiously will also help. People are not being told this. All that they do is they go, they write it for them, and they start taking their medication. And because it's symptom-free, people can go without their medication for a week because they don't see anything. They feel that they are okay. Next please. And also, if you've got enough to cease smoking because it doesn't work well with smoking. Next please. It's frozen. Okay. Relaxation. We are the kind of social animals that hate relaxing. So they come to the UK, work, and either you go to the Caribbean or South Africa, the time that you go there, it's either you're going for a funeral, or maybe you're going for a wedding, or you're going to build your house. Okay? So we don't relax. My boss, every 3 months, she goes off for 2-3 weeks. You see that she's here. She's in the Caribbean, she's here, she's in Spain. And by the time that she comes back, she feels very revitalized. But we do not, especially we in the healthcare center, because the job is always there. We use our annual leave for extra money. Okay, so relaxation is very important. Next slide, please. Thank you. I think it's good. So this is an interventional study. What we saw with this study is when people are diagnosed with blood pressure and they say, okay, I need to cut down my weight. What people do is that they panic, they go to the sports shops, and they buy these trash shoes with a good foot where they register with the gym, put in all their efforts. By 2-3 months, they have relapsed. I think mom is laughing. Okay, you've been there, good. So a lot of people who have a diagnosis, that is what they do. They relapse in within a year, they are down already. And so that method doesn't really help. So what we say you should be doing is that when you realize the need to lose weight, what you need to do is to one, inculcate it in your day-to-day activities. Okay. So example, if I drive to work, okay, and I drive to my website, I can identify a place that is not very close to the website, or 5 minutes walk to the website. Then I'll park my car, walk about 5 minutes, and so when I finish, I walk 5 minutes into my car. Then eventually you build it up. If you use buses to work, what you may have to do is that you can decide to skip one bus stop. You walk to one bus stop before you take your bus. First day you walk slowly, the second day you increase your pace, then eventually you'll be used to it. Then when you build the resilience, once a bus stop, back. Okay, I have a friend who does not drive now. Every day he walks about 45 minutes to work. And he walks about 45 minutes back. Even in the winter. If he doesn't walk, he doesn't feel like absolutely. Yeah. So it has become part of his life. Okay. And he's very, very fit. He's a fit guy. Okay. So this kind of things help. Or if you get a treadmill at home, it's fine. You can just start slowly. Don't put pressure on yourself because every day is the way you put on weight is the calorie you take minus the calorie you burn. So if your burning is more than the intake, and every day you have minus 20, just calculate it over six months. You see that you lose weight beautifully. Okay, but sometimes we put pressure on ourselves. Okay, so this study is telling us that the gymming and all those things that we get something to at the initial stage might not necessarily help. And we ethnic minorities, sometimes we wait for a long time before we go to the hospital, especially men. Okay? That's why we suffer most. Oh, your wife will say, oh, go, will not go. Or say, oh, I'll be okay. We want to show where we are semi-macho. Okay, and it will get to late before that. Okay, next. So we have set targets for what your blood pressure should be, but we are going with the data that have been set by. Okay, next. I think I've got only 5 minutes, so let me just go through the complications. So with the complications, we should know that complications of blood pressure, because the pressure is happening in the heart and in the arteries, okay, what we may have to do is to ensure that we minimize the pressure in the heart and in the arteries. And every complication, if you guys would not mind, we'll take few photographs and put on that Facebook. So thank you. So the complications that will be experienced in the vessels. Okay, so we'll go through a few of the complications now. So next one. Good. So this is your heart. Okay. Now, if this area is blocked, so this area is this. Ideally, blood should flow through here so that the cells around here will be okay. So it's like you had a little baby, and then the umbilical cord is tied. When you tie the umbilical cord of a baby, what happens to the external part? It dies off and it falls off. So every place that you are not getting oxygen, that cell in that area will die off. Okay? So if a cell that leading to the heart is blocked like this, it means that all this area might not get blood, and oxygen is in the blood, so this area is going to die off. Next. So you have a beautiful heart. All this area is receiving blood, but maybe somewhere here is blocked, so the cells here will not receive any blood, and it will die off. And that's what we call heart attack. Okay. So that is heart attack. Next one. Now, you can also see that here, when they took the photograph, like a scanning imaging, you can see that you are not seeing any blood vessels here. Same place here. When they treated the patient and they took the photograph, you can see the vessels. It means that somewhere here is blocked. Okay? And when people are having chest pain, some of the tests that they do in the imaging, this is what we see. Next, please. Another thing is when you go to the gym and you pump, what happens to your muscles? It builds up and it becomes quite hemorrhagic. Yeah. Now, this is the area. This is the area that pumps the blood out. We call it the left ventricle. So this valve will open. So enough blood will come in. Then it will pump the blood out in circulation. Now, when the pressure here is increased over years, because this muscle is doing all the work, the muscle will build up. Okay? And when it builds up, it becomes stiffened and hardened. And the amount of blood that will come here will be decreased. It means that the blood that will be circulating through you when it's pumping is reduced. And when that happens, we call this one left ventricular hypertrophy. It means that the muscles have become bigger. And because the lumen here is very narrow, you are not receiving enough blood to pump into your body. And we call it congestive cardiac failure. CCF. It means your heart is self-failing. And sometimes, because there is pressure on the heart itself as a whole, the heart itself becomes enlarged. And we call it low, back this. The heart itself becomes low. Yes. The heart itself becomes enlarged. And we call it cardiomegaly. So now, this heart and this heart, which one do you think is healthy? Yes. Okay. This one looks blackish. It means some areas are blocked with a cholesterol, and this one looks big. Okay. That is what we call cardiomegaly, enlarged heart. It's due to the pressure. So it's like the way the pastor said, if you go to the gym and you put enough pressure on your muscle, it goes up. In the same way, if the heart subjected to pressing a lot, it also goes up. Okay, next please. So sometimes we do the X-ray and you see that people's hearts are enlarged. Okay, this is called cardiomegaly. So let's compare this one and say this one. Which one is big? The left one. Okay, you will have been a good physician, yeah? Next. The other thing is the blood vessels that leads to the brain. They are quite tiny and quite fragile. And sometimes when you get the pressure, it breaks. And when it breaks, the blood leaks into the brain. And it causes something that we call hemorrhagic stroke. So most of stroke is hemorrhagic. And what happens is the same phenomenon. If an area also is blocked, okay, because the blood is not going through that area, the functions of the area will go off and to die. The cells in that area will die. And the brain controls everything. It controls our speech, our movements, everything that we do. So if you are not lucky and the area affected is the area that controls your movements, then you become paralyzed with stroke. So paralysis is what depends on the area. Speech is depends. So stroke is the breaking away of the function of the brain. Okay, due to less oxygenation or maybe hemorrhage. Is that clear? Next, please. Next. So sometimes it's like this, and it bursts, and then when it bursts, it goes into the brain. Next. So next. It can happen to the kidney cells as well. And when it does happen to the kidney cells, it's a similar thing. Next, please. Next. And if it, okay, let me quickly, no, next please. Let me quickly talk through this. No. Here. This is your heart. This is a bigger vein or a bigger artery where the blood coming out will come through first. It's called the aorta. Okay? Now, you know that sometimes when you blow that longitudinal balloon, and the air is too much, you can have a bulge. Okay, so if the pressure from the heart is too much, the aorta becomes a bit bulgy, and sometimes it can break as well. And when it breaks, we call it aortic aneurysm. It kills very, very quick. Okay, so this is a repair. Next, please. At the same time, so you have it here, the aorta, it should be smooth, but sometimes it becomes big due to the pressure at which the heart is supported. The aorta cannot hold it. They call it aortic aneurysm. Next, please. At the same time, there is a big vessel which feeds our abdomen with blood. And when your heart pumps and is going through the abdomen, this should be the normal one. Sometimes the pressure can make it bulge. Okay? And this can also burst. And if it bursts, you are going to die. Next. So it's like this. This is the aorta. This is the normal one. And this is the bulgy one. And this is the best one. This is a medical emergency. Okay, a lot of people die through this. Next. Disturbing pictures. Next, yeah. So this is the brain one that is big, and you have to go through quite a big surgery even if you survive. This is the one that happens in the brains, like this, aneurysm of the brain due to high blood pressure. Okay, this one, if you go and say something to somebody and they say something back and it hits you, it can break. Your blood pressure will go high and it will break. Okay, next. Same thing. Next. 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 So this one, the brain happening, and when it happens like that, you get swollen head, and even if you survive, it's a difficult thing. Yes. So even if you survive, they will cut your head up, they will open it and clean it, so your body image will be affected. Okay, and I heard that people are complaining that even with a good body image, the gentlemen are not succumbing. So with the bad body image, it will be so difficult. Psychological challenges, you lose your self-esteem, loss of employment. If you are someone like me who goes and count for your family to eat, you're going to be in the hospital for a long time. Okay. Your sexual life is going to be affected as well. So this is someone that the body is next, please. So all that we're trying to say is, look after your heart, look after what you eat, and your heart and your body will look after you. Okay. Anybody have a question about the presentation? Very quickly. Some few screens and then get to our message. So yes. But I was young, I was told that salt is the major thing that I wanted to detail you what actually is the salt that makes up. Good. So wherever salt is, there is water. Okay. So when you have enough salt in your blood, because everything that we eat that is soluble, it firstly gets converted into our blood. So if we eat salt, it gets to the blood. And when you have enough salt in your blood, it causes what I explained earlier, the vasoconstriction. It constricts and it scenarios the blood vessels. 2, it also pulls some water into the blood from the cells around it. Both the vasoconstriction and the water will increase the pressure for the heart to beat more. So that's very similar.
During your courses, you also talked about oral capacity or something like that. How does that one to affect?
Okay, so there are some medications that if you go on it, your blood pressure goes. It goes up. I'm not entirely sure how that happens, but we can take your number, we will look into it and we will explain it to you.
Our bodies, our female bodies work on two hormones called estrogen and progesterone. And of course, those affect the hormonal symptoms in general. When you begin to go on estrogen and progesterone, when you are on menopause and things and on your sepsis, if you have the double, the progesterone and estrogen mix, somebody, not everybody, before that will occur, some of these causes and risk factors will have been there for you to trigger it. And then it will activate that, and then because of the estrogen progesterone in it, some of us become a little bit sensitive to it, and it kicks up, and then triggers some of these risk factors that we already have with our environmental factors, and it kicks up.
Any more questions? Some people actually have low blood pressure. How can you correct that? How do you change that? And what's the impact of that?
Thank you. Naturally, those who are on low blood pressure, we are not worried. Because when on low blood pressure, your pressure is not have to keep your heart to work more. That is, your low blood pressure may be 90 or your highest is 100. When you are on low pressure, what we say is let the hospital move. So when you are dropping, they don't just start kicking through because you will never go up. You will end up overloading you. So there's always that few people who are always on the low side. You are not worried that you are low, but on your low, if you have 90/50, that is good, and you get 110, hypertension. That is not your normal. Because you are always 90, 95. So the moment you start getting 110, 120, although it's saying normal there, but for you, that is not your normal. That is when you are hypertensive. So before a doctor will actually diagnose you as hypertensive, they'll be looking at your trend, your back, what has it been, and before you come to that decision. But if you are normally low, anytime you get to the hospital, last time I went to do a blood pressure, the person was 95/52. I looked and said, no, I asked, is that always low? I said, yes, I'm always low. That has been my rate. And my heart said, I'm breathing, I'm fine. But if it's not, then I have to be running to get resuscitation. So let them look not overload you. And we don't want you to take to the other side of it. Yeah. When you are low, you are not worried, but let them know. We always advise that if I always say you have your own blood pressure machine in your house once a week, once a month, good. You can go to your GPs to enter an MOT once a year. Most of this high blood pressure we pick it up when the body ends up. That is why the medical team takes up because we don't check it at all. Because nothing is showing, we are happy, we have a little headache, we ignore it. And when you go that, oh, I have a transient waist, by the time you do your blood pressure is picked up. So to me, I always say, have it at home. Some people say, I check it, I get levels. Some people too, we call it a bilateral syndrome. The moment they enter a hospital facility, their blood pressure goes up. When they're at home, it's fine. So we have so many factors to cross-check before we actually say that hypertensive. So I always say, check it out because that's how you check it at home. I went to they wanted to diagnose. I said, doctor, even here next. When I get my heart is like, at home and I think I'm fine. Doctor, okay, I'll put on the 24 hours. So I went to the 24 hours and they realized that I'm not with them. I am fine.
One question.
So you made mention of vitamin D and also holidays going on holiday. Yeah. And my question is what about those people who doesn't have kidneys? And
Good question.
Thank you for the question, sis. It's not only Africa that has that life. If you look at our vocation, somewhere is coming, you see them expose themselves everywhere. But because of my culture and you are not allowed to expose ourselves. The best things like that, even if you are having 1 hour a day, between 11 and 12, 4 to 5, receiving that sunshine, you don't need purpose to receive it. When the sun is out, walk out there, just sit there, walk around the back of your yard, and just take that natural sunshine. If you take me to a wedding, you are free sitting, I always sit in my yard, when there's sunshine. During summer, I don't take vitamin D. I try as much as possible to gain it. In winter, there's no sun, so I start taking my supplement. So you don't need patience. Anytime the sun is out, look at the locations. You see them everywhere. You expose almost 80% of their sun because they want to take it. Me and you are culture that we best to expose ourselves to get that because the higher the body is exposed, the more it will attract. To keep our things on. If you are behind your house and you have sunshine, enjoy it and keep it. If you can't take your vitamin D, but when you're taking vitamin D, please go to the GP to start monitoring because we don't want to take overdose as well. Too much of it also can cause a so everything has to be outside. So when the sun is out like this, please enjoy it as much as you can. Some of these conventions we can have them in the sunshine. Nice, sit there like 2 hours. A minimum of vitamin D.
Relax in the UK, okay, so that the hormones that drive your day activities, like the cortisols and then the adrenaline will also do that as well. And one of the benefits of the COVID, if I should put it that way, it hasn't got enough second blood. But one of the benefits of the COVID is that when the COVID came, the government decided to put out a policy. So anyone that is in the UK that hasn't got a register will still register with a GP. Okay, so you don't have to show any form of identity to register with a GP. So if you are someone without papers, you walk to a GP and tell them that you want to register as a non-documented person, and they go halfway to say register. If you are struggling, just ask the pastor will give my number to you, and I will set up you through. Or we can work on behalf of you. Yeah. We have spoken to a lot of people who have managed to get themselves registered on a GP, or you can even go to the government website. It's clearly there that we don't need documentation to register. And I think if there is someone in that position, they'd rather do it now because we don't know what the government will do in the future. All right. Let's put our hands together for our excellent. That's so good. Thank you so much for taking time for us. Thank you. What we're going to do is that we plan to do this again for our first lesson. What we're going to do, we want to be able to move on in our session. So I'm going to, we've set up a room just outside. So our brother and our sister will be going in there and we'll be doing the screening out there. So the section will be going back one by one. Those who want to go and have your self-screen, they will check you out with your objectives and advice. So we can be able to do that one by one. Is that okay? So they will do that for about some few minutes and then they will have their food. So please, if you want to do that in the next 20 minutes so they can relax and also have some food before they go. Amen? Come on, amen? Let's go. Thank you once again. We want to thank the Hypertrophy Association. Oh, yeah, sure. We want to thank Albert and assistants to bless us from the Hypertrophy Nurses Association. It's such a wonderful time.